So when we think about life together in community, one of the more difficult issues that we'll face is addiction to pornography. And so I want to answer the question, how do we best shepherd those in our group who are struggling this way? And I think the first thing I can tell you is that porn is an epidemic. Know that this is something that both men and women struggle with. This is not just an issue that men have. And then beyond that, statistics are showing now that a lot of people are being introduced to pornography at an elementary school level. And so especially if you lead young people in your home group, don't be surprised by long-standing battles with pornography. If this is something that they've struggled with for more than half of their life, just don't be surprised by that. You know, I think the first thing that you need to say as you counsel somebody struggling with pornography is that it's a distortion of God's good view of sexual intimacy. And so sex is a gift that God has given one man and one woman in the context of a covenant relationship. And pornography is a manifestation of a heart that's really not satisfied in God. It's hijacking a desire, a good desire that God has given us that ultimately leads to sin. And so you'll want to convey the difference between a righteous and an unrighteous desire. A righteous desire to have sex, I mean, all you have to do is read the Song of Solomon and know that God is the creative genius behind sex. But ultimately, this over-desire in our hearts, this failure to believe God and to believe His timing and to believe really the contours that He's created in our life for us to flourish is what leads to us giving into this unrighteous desire. And so a really big question that we'll need to answer as we lead people is, how do we fight well? You know, porn is not defeated by white-knuckling effort. It's not really even defeated by accountability and, in measures like emailing people every website that you look at. All of those things are helpful, but porn is defeated when God becomes more compelling than the object of worship. Chalmers, this Puritan guy, said that it's the expulsive power of a new affection that ultimately wins our hearts away from sin and to the glory of God. And so this is a gospel issue. Believers must see God's love for them, the promises of the gospel, and then really conformity to Jesus' life, His holiness, as the best possible life. And love of God, as we see God clearly for who He is and how He has loved us, is the right motivation for putting sin to death in our life. We want to, like the Puritans said, we want to mortify what's already been crucified. And so as a leader, you have to war well in speaking the gospel into these brothers and sisters who are struggling in this area, praying for them and staying proactive in leadership. And then be encouraged by this, that God gives us freedom. There is freedom in Christ. There are countless brothers and sisters who are walking in wholesale freedom or are walking in more and more freedom as they see this sin put to death in their life, as they're beholding the glory of Jesus Christ and being transformed by His love. And so be encouraged and work out your salvation with fear and trembling. God is lavishing His grace upon those of us who are broken in spirit, and He's working to make us like Jesus. And so trust Him and believe these promises and fight well.